How's it going, everyone? It's A Canadian Gamer here, and I just finished the Uncharted 4 campaign or story mode, whatever you want to call it. Uh, it might seem a little bit confusing to you viewers out there, and maybe wondering why am I showing gameplay of the open beta? Shouldn't I be showing gameplay of the actual full game? Well, or why not the story mode? Uh, well, currently I don't really have any footage on my computer right now. I would have it on my computer and get a USB drive and put it on my computer and use it for this video. Well, reasons, such, yeah. But it doesn't matter what gameplay I'm using, as long as it's Uncharted related. And personally, I think it would be best if I just stuck with the open beta multiplayer gameplay anyways, or multiplayer gameplay in general, because I want to avoid as much spoilers as possible, because I'm sure any of you keen players of Uncharted, if you're keen enough, you'll probably notice a few visual spoilers anyways. I mean, sure, I could probably edit it out a bit and avoid spoilers in general, but personally, I think it's best if I just don't show story at all. And if you're an Uncharted player, Uncharted fan, if you played all the Uncharted games, buy the game right now. Personally, I would not be hyped for a game before launch, but since it's already released and I've just beaten it, fucking buy it. Personally, it's the best Uncharted since Uncharted 2, or 1, but then again, 1 is technically you could technically say the worst of the series, but you still can argue it's the first in the series. Much like any game in any series, the first one tends to be overshadowed by the second or third in the series, because in the second and the third game they actually start to develop the formula and actually get better with the game and it gets better with the series as it goes on. But yeah, Uncharted 4 is an amazing send-off to an amazing series, and I'd say one of the biggest things in Uncharted 4 is nostalgia. Okay? This is going to be all spoilers, okay? So, for anyone who hasn't played Uncharted 4, just stop right here, go buy the game, beat the game, come back, watch this video, and that's it. You have my approval. I would give if you're curious of a rating in terms of rating. Well, I don't really do ratings, especially in my reviews in general. But for me, it would be an exceptional send off to an amazing series. That I'd say that'd be my rating, and I recommend buying it. $60. It earns it. It deserves every penny, as Angry Joe would say. Anyways, now spoilers. This is for the people who already beaten the game and on story mode, or the people who don't give a shit about spoilers. Personally, I would care, but there are people who just don't give a shit, but whatever. But if you're the people who are stupid and just listen to me ramble on about the story and then complain in the comments about spoilers, then you're a dumbass. Now, spoilers. Beginning of the game starts out with Drake and Sam on a boat getting away from some guys, and as it starts out with any Uncharted game, it starts out with a quote, and if you haven't seen the trailers in Uncharted, it's very self-evident that you're chasing a pirate treasure, and the pirate whose pirate treasure, may ask? The pirate of Avery. That's the name I remember. There's probably other name to it, but it starts out with a quote from Avery saying, "I am a man of fortune, and I must seek my fortune," and which is a very appropriate quote, and it fits Drake's character. And as I said, it starts out with Drake and Sam getting away from some guys, and it's amazing. It's all raining. You're making your way to a rocky island. It's set in the middle of the game, the introduction, and you're driving. Boat crashes. Then we're set back to young Drake, much like in the third game, except if you are if you remember correctly, you can tell that it takes place slightly before the flashback in Uncharted 3 because you can tell by the sound of Drake's voice he sounds a bit younger, and he's still currently in an orphanage and is in American City, which I believe to be is New York City. And he is being nagged by a nun, pretty much, because he got in a fight with a boy because someone took his book or talking shit about his family. And he sees his brother flashing his flashlight at the window, and he busts him out into the orphanage. And he says, "We're gonna go get mom's stuff and all that." Oh, and they go, and then goes forward in time, which goes to a much, well, it goes to older Drake, but the Drake before Uncharted 1, where Drake's in prison, you're fighting some guy, and you realize, and then a prison guard breaks up the fight, but he's not a typical prison guard. He's the warden who's paid off because it turns out Drake, Sam, and some other accomplice, Rafe, paid to get in this prison because there's a tower connected to Avery's treasure. And he tells Drake he wants in, he wants cut because he reads the 300-year-old letter of Avery and knows that Drake and Sam and Rafe are going to get a lot more money out of it. Sure, he's getting paid, but he wants a cut of the treasure. And yeah, he wants a cut of the treasure. Search the tower, finds a cross, and all that. Okay, maybe I might be dragging out a little. I'm going very specific. If I'm probably just gonna stop there because I guess I'll talk about some of the key points. I think I may as well just describe what I really like about the game in general. I do like the introduction of Sam, voiced by Troy Baker, Nathan Drake's brother, which is kind of weird seeing him now after 3 games, but I do like how they explain how in the beginning of the game, after at the beginning of the game where you're escaping the prison, he's not going to make it because, like, if you play the 1, 2, and 3 games, you're probably wondering, wait, why wasn't Sam in the other games? Was he, like, in the background singing on his ass? Whatever? Well, no, he supposedly died, or at least Drake initially thought, until you move forward in present time where Drake is living a normal life. It starts with him swimming in the ocean, looking for cargo for the company he works for, and it's very similar to the very first Uncharted where he opens a crate of the cargo, and much like how he opens Sir Francis Drake's coffin, and it turns out it's just copper. Yeah, He's not getting any gold, he's not getting any big treasures, he's not searching any big cities, he is simply living a normal life, as the chapter states. And it moves forward, and you're in Drake's attic, or Nathan's attic. Drake isn't really his name, but he calls himself that. But you're in Nathan's attic, and it's just a full nostalgia bomb. He has a bunch of collectibles from his last 3 adventures. There's the big statue, the big Malaysian statue from Uncharted 2 he climbed. Then there's the skull, which is the one thing I kind of lost. I do not know where that came from. At first I kind of thought that was a weird reference to Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, looking at the skull, but I don't know. And then you see Sir Francis Drake's journal, and you see the bullet hole in it. Same in the beginning where you thought Sully was killed, but the journal took the bullet. And there's a picture of Drake, Elena, and Sully sitting up on top of the treasure Sully had at the end of the game. And there's also another journal, which is Shambhala, which is the journal he used throughout the course of Uncharted 2. Then there's the, I forget what the thing is called. The Uncharted 3 had Sir Francis Drake's puzzle thing. Drake would put Sir Francis Drake's ring in it, and he would use it for puzzles and all that. Trust me, I don't really remember much about Uncharted 3. Technically, it's the worst, or the weakest of the 3, because it follows a very, very, very similar pace of Uncharted 2. And while it is good, it feels more of a change in climate. That's what it is, really. It's basically Uncharted 2, but with a more desert climate. Yeah, it's technically the weakest of the Uncharted games because I think it has to do with the fact because at the same time Naughty Dog was developing The Last of Us during that time. So the team was entirely split. One was working on Uncharted, the other half was spent working on The Last of Us, which is the reason why Uncharted 3 was so meh and why The Last of Us was so good. So yeah. And there's other Easter eggs, yeah. You go downstairs, you see Alana. They're big, good chemistry going on as usual. And then Drake said, and then Elena says he'll do dishes and says, I'll play you for it. And then it pans over to the PlayStation 1 and you play Crash Bandicoot, which, another nostalgia bomb. Well, it's not much of a nostalgia bomb for me, but I'm sure it's a big nostalgia bomb for PlayStation players in general. Like, I mean, I remember playing the PS1. PS1 is technically one of the very first systems I had. The first one was the SNES. That's the very first system I played. The second being the PS1, and the third being the PS2. And PS1, I had pretty good memories on that. I would remember playing, damn. Yeah, I talk about memories with the PS1. Yeah, I don't remember much. Yeah, it's a really big nostalgia bomb. Okay, now I'll move on to the mechanics. Or the new mechanics. You obviously have a new rope thing where you swing on a rope thing. You swing around and when you use this, it's kind of weird how Drake never implemented this in the other 1, 2, and 3 games because this was also implemented in that flashback segment I was talking about where we were playing as young Drake, where his brother Sam, he shows him how to do this, yet he's even using this in the prison segment where he's going up the tower looking for something related to Avery's treasure, and it's even more weirder. And there's also some other minor things, but other than that, it's a really good game. Really great closing to the series. Yeah, I mean, overall, I'm just kind of rambling, but I'm just like with any great series at the end of every series, you know it's going to be the end, and you're just left with some emptiness. And that ending there was amazing. Okay, the ending quite possibly has the best boss fight since Uncharted 2. And it's just a big saber fight against Rafe and Drake as you try to rescue Sam, because Sam is very obsessive with Avery's treasure. At the end of it, Drake pretty much gives up on the treasure because he initially thought they were getting the treasure to save Sam from this Mexican cartel dealer. Sam told him he was his cellmate, and he would tell him of the treasure he was looking for. And he gets his guys out of prison. He gets his guys, the cartel's guys, and they get out of prison. And he asks, "Will you get the treasure?" Yeah, I'll get it. But this flashback segment, you also play as Sam, by the way, which is the one and only time you play as Sam. But that turned out to be a lie. No, he made that up. It turns out Rafe got him out, and he was working with Rafe, and yeah. Basically, he just wanted to get the treasure to sake getting the treasure. He merely wanted him. He wanted to give Drake this sense of urgency of getting the treasure because he knows that Drake is retired. So yeah, and back to the boss fight. You're at the spot where they find the treasure, and it's Tim and the two main pirates, Tim and Avery. They fought over the treasure, and now Rafe grabs a saber and Drake grabs a saber, and they fight. And much like how they did, which is very symbolic. Really good boss fight. It's really, really hard. Well, it was hard for me anyways, because it is technically cinematic, but it is a bit of a hard fight because like parrying and dodging is his sword is a little is not too hard, but near the end he really starts slashing and slashing, and then it's a little difficult. A bit cinematic, but still a very fun boss fight, and quite possibly the best ending to any series ever. Best ending to any series ever, and I really hope Naughty Dog stays true to their word, because I don't want them to say a thief's end and then just we're just kidding, we're going to make another Uncharted. Instead it's just going to be Sam and Sully, because at the end it almost seemed like they were going to make another Uncharted, but with just you playing as Sam, because it kind of seemed that way, you know what I mean? Kind of like how with like at the end of Witcher 3, it kind of seems like CD Projekt Red may plan on doing other games centered around Ciri, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, great series, great ending to any series, great cap to any series. Personally, it's so good, I would even say just skip Uncharted 3. Okay? Just play 1, 2, and 4. That's it. But maybe I wouldn't skip it too much, but then again, there's not really that much really missing. Uncharted 2 and 1 are really good. Just 3 is just meh, but what can you do? It was very... They were working on our project. Naughty Dog was working on our projects, but whatever. Anyways, those were my thoughts on Uncharted 4 Thief's End story mode. Great game. Anyways, I'm the Canadian Gamer. I'll see you next time.